The road to the 2020 Kentucky Derby continues, and this time I thought we'd take a look at Modernist, one of the contenders for the Kentucky Derby in 2020. He already has 50 Kentucky Derby points after the Risen Star victory. Of course, the Risen Star was split into two divisions this year, and they had some big bulky fields in both, and Modernist went wire to wire. That's two straight wins. Overall, Modernist, as he heads back to Louisiana for the Louisiana Derby in a couple of weeks, Modernist has 4 starts, 2 victories. Let's take a look at his career progression for the son of Uncle Mo, as we seem to have a lot of Uncle Mo's and Spacetowns and Munnings, some sprintier pedigrees on the Oaks and Derby Trail this year. Of course, Modernist debuted at 6 furlongs in a sprint at Belmont, ran against Americanus, who actually debuted in 2020 with a nice victory, so that's looking more like a key victory. Ran evenly, ran from a little bit off the pace that day at 7-1, and closed a little bit into the pace, losing by 3 lengths. It was a good tightener for the debut. Came back at the Big A, Aqueduct, and lost and finished 3rd place at 5-1. Cost basis was the victory that day for Chad Brown. Kingmeister was 2nd. Both of those came back to run a little bit disappointing efforts. Kingmeister broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park, and then Cost Basis debuted with a loss as one of the favorites at Gulfstream Park this spring. So mixed signals on that second race. Then he broke his maiden by 4 lengths. At the time, a lot of people thought it was slow fractions. The fractions on Brisnet that day were 20 points slower for the 4 furlong fraction and 16 points slower on the Brisnet scale for the 6 furlongs when they went 1:16-1. So the pace was slow, but a lot of times there's a little bit of a talent in able to lay close to a slow pace and then draw off, and he kind of used his speed to win by 4 lengths. That was at Aqueduct on January 25th. He went straight to the fairgrounds into a Grade 2 stakes race, went off at 12-1, and won again wire to wire. Now the Risen Star performances are under a little bit of a microscope that day, as Finite drew off in the stretch in the Fairgrounds Oaks, and then you had both divisions of the Risen Star going wire to wire. So there's a possible little bit of a speed bias maybe in play that day. We'll have to see as those horses run back. And Modernist by Uncle Mo out of a Bernardini mare. Bernardini, of course, was a win early, precocious type, did develop into a 10 furlong horse, went into the Breeders' Cup Classic as one of the favorites before losing to Invaser that day. But Bernardini put together a little bit of a scheme. He won the Withers, won the Preakness, and then came back with a nice fall campaign. The Bernardinis were well received at the sales early on. He had a high stud fee, and so he's gotten some nice mares. Overall, his best runners have probably been some mares. Bernardini, the broodmare sire, and definitely some good class here in this pedigree, 2nd and 3rd generation. So Modernist right now, I'm kind of split. His 92 Brisnet speed fight figure was in his most recent race. He may have possibly took advantage of a speed bias, but he did put together back-to-back wins, and his speed figures on the Brisnet scale are a 90, 87, and 92. What I like about that is that in those 3 races, he only got a 5-length difference. So he definitely could improve if he can cycle up to a big effort in the Louisiana Derby and the Kentucky Derby. So Modernist, is he one of your Kentucky Derby contenders? He'll be running in the Louisiana Derby in a couple of weeks. Leave a comment below. Don't forget, we've also got a Kentucky Oak Spotlight on Finite also available, and we looked back last week at all of the Kentucky Derby Future Wager Pool number 3 if you want to watch those. Hit subscribe and like as we lead you up to the 2020 Kentucky Derby.